From the Butler Cubs Athletic Association, it's a coaches roundtable. Ahmed Codi to my right, the Swami George Abraham to my left, the Tiger Albert Campman. First of all, I want to thank Mike Robb, president of the Cubs Athletic Association, and athletic director Don Spinetti for allowing us to do our show here where we could have social distancing. And before we move on, we want to thank all the first responders and the healthcare workers and all of their heroic efforts during COVID-19. They've saved a lot of lives. It's hard to believe where we would be without them, so we want to thank them. Guys, it's been 10 weeks since we've had a show. So much has happened or not happened in the sports world. The cancellation of all kinds of different sporting events, including the spring sports for the high schools. So as is our custom, we want to start, we're late in doing this because we've been off for so long, and mention our male and female athletes of the year. If we could have them on the show, we'll cover all their particular achievements then. But first of all, our male athlete for the second year in a row, leading his team to a WPL championship, the first for Butler in 28 years. In his 4 years as a basketball player, he's led Butler to 3 WPL championship games, with the championship this year. Over 2,000 career points, averaged 27 points a game last year. For the second year in a row, it goes to Ethan Morton.
What a choice that is, Eddie. He put Butler on the map with his skill, with his work ethic. Great student. You couldn't have a better choice than Ethan Morton.
And he's headed to Purdue University. Matter of fact, he will be headed there this week and will be in quarantine for 14 days before he's allowed to participate in any drills. Purdue's not alone in this. I'm sure many of the other schools that we're going to talk about will be doing the same thing. Our female athlete of the year is a 3-sport star from Freeport High School. We watched her play basketball the last few years against North Catholic. She's been all section WPIL in soccer and basketball, and that's Sydney Shemansky. She's won gold and silver medals in the 800 and the 400 in the WPIL, placed in the state. She's headed to Seton Hill.
Never a shortage of athletes to choose from in this area. That's one thing about our show. We always have a tough choice because there are a lot of good athletes.
And when you have a 3-sport star,
yes,
that's unusual today. And we watched her play. I mean, she's over 1,000 in career points. She led her team in points, assists, rebounds. Just a terrific hard-nosed player. And you just, how they're able to do it. She lost her spring track season this year, but she's going to play basketball at Seton Hill.
Well, I watched her in track, and she competes. She's ready every time. She never takes a race off, and her athleticism stands out. She's a tremendous competitor.
Well, we hope to have an interview with Ethan, however we're going to do it, and then have Sydney come here and present them with their trophies.
Now, you said about Ethan, that's the new normal. Traveling back and forth, fly here, go here, it's different. And we have to realize that.
And we are going to talk about that. So we move to our stories of the week, and it's kind of a catch-up for us here. But let's start with, first of all, the cancellation of all the high school spring sports. You really feel for these seniors losing out in their baseball, volleyball, and track, and some of them counting on having an outstanding season in order to get a scholarship. But I'm sure for a lot of them, the schools that have watched them still would be interested in offering them a scholarship or inviting them to come to their campuses.
Well, I've talked to college coaches, and they're studying their junior year tapes. You know, that's what they have to go by. And anything they had on their junior year, most of them, if they were Division I or Division II scholarship, will still get that. The ones that we worry about are the ones that maybe were much stronger, you know, really prepared for their senior year and are not going to be seen. I feel bad for those seniors.
And some schools let the kids in the spring come back. Some, like Wisconsin, said be on your way.
Well, we know as coaches that for some kids in high school, that senior year, that final season, that is their defining moment. And unfortunately, some of them don't have the junior resume that's going to carry over. Now, you have a player like Ethan Morton who's been outstanding. It's not going to matter with him. And having said that, the big question mark for these kids at Butler making a run for the 6A championship, North Catholic boys and girls and other schools, they'll never know.
No way to know, and it's tough, but I thought they jumped the gun a little bit when it first happened, and maybe they could have played one more game at most, but the thing that drives me crazy is now, right across the border, these PA teams are all playing softball and baseball.
There's no rhyme or reason to it, and those people in charge have a tough decision to make. They're going to be right for some people and wrong for other people. To me, all I know, I'll leave it up to the health experts and the epidemiologists and what they say, and you hope the people in governing positions make prudent decisions with good reasoning.
Well, the thing you just said there makes it clear why we had to do it. Even the scientists, the doctors don't know. If they don't know, we surely don't know. So rather be safe, and I think that's number one. If one kid went down, you could not justify it.
Well, that's a question you ask. What's the risk of opening up too soon and people getting sick or even
exactly.
dying? There are a lot. So the high school sports, we see PIAA is going to allow them to start practicing by July 1st.
Different rules for how much contact there is in the sport.
And then there's a concern coming the fall. You're bringing the kids together in the classroom.
Absolutely.
You're bringing the teachers in. I heard one statistic that said maybe up to 20% of teachers are going to retire early rather than come back. So how are you going to do that? You can't have sports. I don't think they can without letting these kids high school back on campus. There's no social distancing in football, for example. We use that as an example. We've been in locker rooms, you get 70, 80 guys in there, and you're in a huddle. What are you going to do? You can't stay apart. Now, if one kid comes down with it, you quarantine everybody for 14 days.
That's what they're talking about right now.
You don't play a game for 1 or 2 weeks then.
They don't know either. That's why it's such a vital, driven by science, because they don't know. You made one great point. If schools don't start and they can't get the kids into school, they cannot justify sports.
I think Kiske, the superintendent at Kiske, said they're already planning for online instruction.
Wow.
Rather than waiting to the last second.
Harvard already canceled. Harvard's done. No, they're going to give these kids like 3 options. Full part or whatever, something in the middle. They can't bring them all at one time. This is just a conjecture now. How do you bring them in at one time if you have to look at us? We couldn't have 35 more guys in here.
And we all taught high school, and the point is they're talking about, okay, the cafeteria will be closed. They'll have to have lunches in a room, or they're going to split. One group comes in the morning, they leave, go home and eat. The other one comes after lunch. But then the teachers move from class, the kids stay together in one classroom. I don't know that that's an answer. No one knows how that's going to work at all. We've all been in school when the kids have had the flu. I remember one year, if you were there at Butler, we had a run on mononucleosis. And I remember being in the cafeteria and these kids were sharing the can of pop, and I went over and I said, you can't do that. They were dumbfounded. Why? I said, we have a run on mononucleosis. You may be infecting one another.
Well, my thoughts is what George just said. I think it's going to be done in shifts. I truly believe it's going to be a morning shift and an afternoon shift if they do come back.
Can you teach 45 minutes with a mask on and students with a mask on?
They're going to have to.
There are a lot of, and then for high school sports, are you going to have fans?
Wow.
In the stands?
Isn't that sad? Even talk about it.
You're running the problem. If you say just parents are allowed to come, other fans are going to say, wait a minute, I've been coming for years. Well, why can parents come and I can't come?
I'm so-and-so's uncle. I tell Al, I tease him. Like, imagine the night before the Clemson game, the doctor convinced, he says, the guy with long hair has a fever. Now what? The guy's the best player in America.
I just don't, those are so many unanswered questions. You're just going to have to go with it. I think they should open the schools.
I'm hoping.
I'm hoping they can. I don't know about the safety precautions that you take. You have to take your athletes, you have to check them all the time, you have to check the students. The cost is pretty prohibitive.
Really big.
Oh,
But they're planning it. I'll say that, Eddie.
One more
They're
thing.
planning.
Al and I on the radio, we had the commissioner of the president's conference. He made an interesting point. He said, what if 3 guys test positive? How do you get them home?
Who's taking them home?
That's a good question. Well, let's go now look at the NCAA. March Madness was canceled. So for Kansas, at least, they finished atop the poll. I guess they're the national champs without having to win the championship.
Not my eyes. No, they might say it, and they can say anything they want.
I guess they're gonna declare themselves, give the kids rings. They're
Like
the
Central
national
Florida.
champs. They're number one.
Didn't you always tell us a story about Notre Dame and Alabama? Was it Notre Dame that got
Alabama.
They got declared national champions.
Alabama. Michigan State did too, but Notre Dame beat Alabama. But you never heard Bear Bryant say that. All he said was to put in my tombstone 0-3 against Notre Dame. He never did beat
Good old Bear.
Notre Dame. Well, but Bear was an honest guy.
Well, I guarantee you that's the one place in the country that's going to play, Eddie. Down south, they're going to find a way to play football down in the SEC.
I told Al, if the athletic director has 2 first names or his name's Hootie, they're playing, right?
The president of the University of Michigan, with no fans this year, they stand to lose now $400 million.
That's
But you have the big schools that have the huge endowments. They're going to survive this. A lot of other schools are going to fall by the wayside. There was a small college in Illinois. They've been in existence since 1848, having survived Civil War, 2 World Wars. They closed the doors last month.
more are coming. More are coming.
And a lot of them are dropping some of their non-revenue sports, which they rely on football and basketball. When I always ask this question, I'd say to people, which sport makes the most money at Kentucky? Football, basketball. They always say basketball, and they're wrong.
Right.
It's football.
It's always football everywhere. It's everywhere football, Eddie. It's just the way it is.
And you look at the top schools money-wise, number one is Texas with $120 million they pull in each year. Ohio State around 18. Notre Dame's over 100. Actually, Alabama, I was surprised they were like at 91 million. But all these schools are going to take a hit. You have TV, that TV money's there, so much money, but no fans.
7 home games, 100,000 a game?
And they're like if Pitt were to lose the Notre Dame game this year, they always have
They can cancel the rest of them, but they need Notre Dame.
Yeah, exactly.
They have record crowds.
No, that's true.
There's so many. The Boston Marathon, first time ever, canceled. And now we look at National Hockey League. What will be the interest with hockey coming back and playing in July and August?
Well, it'll be interesting here in our area because there's a lot of people who love the Penguins. But you made a good point before the show, Eddie. If the Penguins get knocked out, the interest will die quickly.
Those hubs are crucial. See, by allowing all that riffraff in, by allowing the Blackhawks in, allowing, who's Pittsburgh playing? Montreal. By allowing the riffraff in, they gave themselves 2 of the biggest markets.
24 teams, but we know all hockey is local. If the Pens lose, those eyes in the Pittsburgh area aren't going to those. It's always been that way.
Absolutely.
And then what about in hockey? Absolutely, there's no social distancing. These guys are colliding. The reason they don't want the fans in the stands, possibly, when they scream and yell, all those spores come out and they travel at least 15 feet. You're going to make everyone in the stands wear a mask. You know, some people aren't going to comply.
Yeah, the sports that survive without fans are going to make it. You know, that's why college football they need the fans. The NFL will survive.
The pros,
they'll survive.
They're talking about. I talked to Terry Hanratty last week. You know, he has a home in South Bend. That they're talking about possibly limiting Notre Dame Stadium to 25,000. It holds 80. And everywhere else they're talking about the concession stands are closed. You have to order food from your seat with your phone. Something I wouldn't
think about this. That's what I'm saying.
And they're going to bring the Miami Dolphins are going to limit the capacity to 15,000 every other row. You come in one gate, you leave one gate. and you have to wear masks. I don't know how you enforce that, and the concession stands are closed.
They all have plans in place. Everything, it's going to change weekly, daily, not weekly, and they better have contingency plans?
Yeah,
about A, B, C, D, E, right down the line.
And the plans are no fans, limited fans, full capacity.
Yeah, they have to have it ready for all of them.
Somewhere in the middle.
And I just having talked to Kevin Colbert about doing an interview, and he said things are so iffy, he would rather we wait until the players come into camp in July, if they can come into camp.
Hey, that's the other thing. Human nature. Now, you know, I told Al the other day, take a look around when you go to the Walmart or the shopping center with 50 carts just strewn all over that lot. But we're going to believe people are going to be responsible and do the right thing and leave through the right. It's like the guy wiping the seats. The first week he's going to wipe, you'll be able to see yourself. By a week 7 and he realizes no one's sitting there, let's do every other seat.
And you talk about contingency plans. So let's just say the Steelers offensive coordinator, he comes down with COVID. He has to be out of there for 14 days. Who's calling plays now?
Exactly.
Who's going to be doing that?
Every day I said something's going to come up that we are not. Look at us right here. That's the best line that Georgia had. We're sitting 6 feet apart and talking to each other.
And you know how important the quarterback is. So what do you tell the quarterback? Don't step in the huddle. Stay away. No, the quarterback goes to shower first, and then he can leave and go home. You have to protect your quarterback.
You see what's going to happen. What are they going to overlook? Here's what it's going to come down to. Same with this rush to get started. We were down, nothing, masks. All of a sudden, some people started, well, let's let this happen. The thing that will be is what will they let go? In other words, how many test positive before they shut it down? How many are quote unquote okay? And that's all it's going to matter, because you can see the dollar has already prevailed.
Well, and there's a good point. Let's look at now. Jack Swarbuck, Notre Dame's athletic director, and Heather Lyke at Pitt, both have said no students on campus. There's no football.
That's a check mark. That's the one I'm guaranteeing.
You can't say no students, but the football players can come on campus. They're student athletes. You can't.
I don't have any other guarantee, Eddie.
Now
that's the one.
The Chancellor Gallagher at Pitt said they're preparing for online instruction. So let's just say they do that. No students in classrooms. So Pitt cancels all their football schedule. So you have all these dotted open dates with the other teams in the schedule. So you could have this it could happen. Rutgers has a hot zone in New Jersey. Maryland's a hot zone.
Right.
So they don't play their Big Ten schedules. You get all these open dates. It has a tremendous impact on how you're going to play.
Impact, especially, I'll tell you who has an impact is Notre Dame. If they play all conference schedules, they decide to go all conference. Where does Notre Dame fit in this, Eddie? Notre Dame plays 6 games and they're left out. Yeah. That's the one team that's left out.
See, they just moved the Navy
but for most teams, going there or having is a huge.
Well, it's big for them. No, I know.
See that?
I asked Hamred here, are they still planning on going to Ireland to play Navy? And I'm saying, how can they do
that? They can't.
No, they canceled it today. They're going to
cancel
Navy.
It today.
First game at Navy in 50 years. They always
Where are they going to play at?
They're playing Navy.
They'll play at Navy.
Just today. Just did it today.
In Baltimore.
Oh, it just happened today?
This morning.
Okay.
You know, that's the thing that people don't realize is, you know, all the things that are going into it. And you mentioned too, how about these schools that get the $1 million for taking that beating at Clemson?
Buffalo. Northern Illinois and Bowling Green both said they count on getting that $1 million.
Yes, they do.
And
yes,
if they don't get it, their athletic program's in jeopardy.
No, all these little
they're
schools.
They're going.
The Power Five is making plans right now that they are going to get away and just go on their own.
Hey Ed.
Now here's go ahead.
Just D3, they usually get $27 million. Well, because of no basketball tournament, they got 8. They said, make do with it.
You know, they brought this question up. No fans, how will the players play? They're going to play. We've all been in sports.
Oh, they play. Yeah.
I remember high school scrimmaging. We're scrimmaging Penn Hills. We were fired up. We didn't know who was in. There's no one. We're on this practice field.
Right.
We're We're going after them, they're going after us. In those days, we had an all-day scrimmage, full scrimmage in the morning, pass scrimmage in the afternoon. So we know that one year, my senior year, we were playing Penn Hills, they had a star running back by the name of U.B. Bryant who went to Minnesota, played for the Steelers. We were after him.
Right.
So these NFL players, college players, it's either hit or be hit.
No,
You better go out there and be ready to play.
No, they're professional. They're ready to play right now. You said ready.
No problem.
They're ready to play mentally and physically. It's just the protection of the virus. That's
First
all.
lawsuit is going to show a lot. First kid that gets sick, first lawsuit's going to see
Oh,
what.
jeez.
And what's funny, all the talk here, the biggest concern seems to be about, will there be college football and pro football? I know there's talk about the National Hockey League and basketball going straight into it. They don't know yet in basketball whether they're going to have 16 teams, 20 teams, 30 teams. They're going to have hub cities.
They have to get Zion in the tournament. That's all that matters.
How they're going to do it, and there's no social distancing there with those guys.
And they're not a hub.
either.
They're going to play in Disneyland, Disney World.
And in Vegas.
Chicago. I think Vegas, the hockey's going to go there and possibly a Canadian city.
Well, the issue there with all these sports, it's so late into the summer.
Yeah.
I know people are hungry for sports, but if you get football started, I'm not sure where the attention's going to be there for hockey and basketball like it normally would be. They'd be finishing up here in another week or two, both of them.
Cities like LA, their NBA, they love their NBA.
Yes.
You know, location has everything to do with it.
Absolutely.
And where we're located right now, we are king football right here. But there's other places, not Southeastern Conference, king football. So there's places that love their hockey, full blast. It's where the location is. I really believe that.
That's why the hub city. That's why Canada wants one of them so badly.
Yes.
Then you have Toronto saying for the rest of this summer there'll be no crowds at any sporting event.
Well, they're not having
Period.
crowds, though, Ed.
Huh?
The NHL, they don't want crowds. They just want to get
Right, I'm saying that
TV
impacts
all
on-
day.
on-
They're
on
going to stagger games.
Baseball and so forth.
TV's going to take over, right?
TV's going to
TV's
take
taking
over.
over.
And the
Hey,
advertisers, all they want were those eyeballs.
Yes. TV's taking over.
Exactly.
Now, let's go to Major League Baseball. There's a great impasse here with what's going on. The owners have proposed an 82-game schedule. The players want 114. I heard the owners now may want less. They say they'll prorate the pay. And the players' union is saying this is a de facto cap on it. And they don't feel they should bail out the owners who say they're hurting. These are billionaires. Look what they do. I mean, the owners, I'm a little more, I don't want to say sympathetic towards the players because they make a lot of money. It's like billionaires, millionaires. But they're saying the owners have made so much money these last few years. They've had these sweet deals on new stadiums. Tell me why Texas, after 20 years, had to build a new stadium. Atlanta, after 20 years, they had to build a new stadium. So I understand, like Mike Trout, it goes from making $30 million to $7 million. We don't have to do a GoFundMe page for him, but he's saying he shouldn't be have to take his cuts to help the owners out. It's not about the fans. They want to make that clear. What do you guys think?
Well, one of the things I heard now is that the owners have the upper hand big time. Before it was going back and forth. Like always, the owners were one. They said we're going 50 games.
They outsmarted them.
They outsmarted
55,
them.
I heard that.
Yeah, they outsmarted them. The players made this. Let's go 80. They turned it down. Oh. Let's go on 50 now. They're down to 50
See,
games.
the fewer they play, the less they lose.
Oh, yes.
They know that.
The owners
Now
figure
they've
it out.
backed the players into a corner. Boros said it best. He said, Pirates are worth 5 times what he bought them for. What have they done? Kansas City, they're all worth $1 billion, and yet when they have one where they might lose some money, they want to share.
And they're talking about a July 30th to middle November
Oh.
schedule. I just don't, that I don't get.
It's because the playoffs make all their money. So
Yeah.
long as there's the playoffs,
You're going to have those games.
TV makes all their money.
15-degree games.
They don't care. They make all, like you said, Ed,
Right, it's the
advertising.
Hey, 6 million people watch that stupid golf match. Can you imagine what are going to watch?
Well, here's what's happening now. 400 minor league players were released last week. The days of the 40 rounds of draft are over because they're using all analytics now. Every major league team is going to cut out 2 franchises. So you're going to see the death of minor league baseball in certain cities. And these cities have built some beautiful stadiums. They're going to wither.
Yeah.
They're
Well, Altoona's an example. You know, they follow their
Erie.
Yeah, they follow their
Altoona
teams. You know, they're big time. They're going.
You know
They're
what
going.
they're going to do? The analytics, they're going more into the college players and the prep players and say, we don't just take them.
Good old analytics. Thanks for that word.
High school season.
Instead of taking 40 players, they're only going to take 18 or 20. They're going to limit the...
See, they had 2/3 of the spring training, though. What they're hoping for is teams stash 20 guys down in Florida and keep them on a at-ready list in case, say, they were in Indiana or something before.
Yeah, you think about the days here, the great history here at Butler at Pullman Park. We had the Butler Yankees and the Tigers and the Indians, some of the great players that played here. And that was all through the groundwork, the foundation of
Well, that's what minor leagues
throughout
were
this
gigantic.
country. Yeah,
Gigantic.
Newcastle, that great ballpark opens
Yes.
at Flaherty
Field, yes.
It's all gone by the wayside. And it's a shame that some of these cities, without those teams, they can't support those stadiums anymore. It's happening here in Butler. There'll be no baseball probably here this summer if they have the wooden bat league. Pretty hard to have.
They're not going to be able to have it. That's the truth. It's craziness. We're lucky to have this show today. That's how the truth.
And the one thing I want to finish with is this. One thing we haven't talked about, when they say, well, it's just sports, it's just a game. But you can't say that to people who work in the concession stands, parking, prepare your tickets. I saw one lady, she worked 2 different venues. She's out of a job. She's losing, they foreclosed on her home. You can't tell her sports don't matter. They matter to those people who make a living. They're in the concession stand. They're not watching the game. They're working all game long. They'll work a Pirate game, they'll work a Pitt game, they'll work a Steeler game, maybe work over at the Penguins and so forth.
And the bars,
you
the
feel,
bars right outside.
You feel for those people.
The bars right outside. They depend on that. The fans come early, leaving late. It has an effect on everything.
And the biggest change here as we finish up is going to be at the professional sports, who gets in the press box. You can't let the usual people crowd.
Eddie, you're out.
I fully expect they're only going to say for Pitt and Steeler games, Post-Gazette, Sports Illustrated, USA Today, and everyone else is out. Hey, for us, we're so thankful to be back after being off since March the 10th. We hope you are well out there. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week.